We've got some
Hey,
fresh
I'm
new young
Luis.
talent
And
doing some
I'm
things that I know
Luis.
you
And you're
haven't
listening
heard
to the
before.
Content is Profit podcast.
We spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit.
If you'd like to learn more on how to turn your content into profit, go to contentisprofit.com. Yeah.
That's right, guys. Today, the dream team that is amplifying success in social media. Before you say the call to actions that we have right now, I need to say this. Every single time this happens in the intro, I'm like, wow, it's a real tongue twister. Saying strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers, wow, it's tough. It's a tough one.
But you
had to
got
get
it.
that out.
Your tongue has adapted.
It's
Yes.
a work in progress.
All right, guys, before we get started, please don't forget to subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. Make sure that as soon as we release an episode, you are the first one to know. We're excited because we've been getting a lot of conversations. And please, don't forget to follow us on social media at BizRosCo on Facebook and Instagram.
That's right, guys. And if you found this episode impactful, which we are 100% sure that you will, don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review.
All right. So today is the first time one of our previous guests makes another appearance. But this time, she's not alone. She has brought her business partner along for the party. You guys are in for a real treat.
They are like Batman and Batman. That's right. There's no Robin in this partnership. They are like the Wonder Twins of relationship marketing. They will not only come and save the day, but they will absolutely crush it.
They are both 2 Comma Club winners, and the new partner, which you don't know yet, used to be a Clickfunnels 2 Comma Club coach. Spoiler alert, he was the coach of this partner. We know this sounds like a real pickle, so we'll have to wait for them to clarify all of this.
That's right, guys. Good thing they are here and ready to go. Please welcome 2 Comma Club winners, Amplify Your Impact coaches, and the peanut butter and jam of marketing, Kaci Brown and Jorge Vasquez.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. I think you guys should do our intros all the time.
This is the peanut butter and jelly of marketing.
Welcome to the show, guys. We are extremely excited. Kaci, first of all, thank you again for coming back. Jorge, thank you. We're extremely excited to have you here in the show.
Yeah, welcome. I need to come clean on this one. The peanut butter and jam, I looked it up online. I was like, what are good things that come into? And the first thing was peanut butter and jam. And I was like, that's perfect. That is perfect.
Guys listening, that's how you do real copy.
Well, and let me give you a little bit of education from the South. You totally classed it up because jelly is just wah. Jam is the real deal. Like that is top shelf quality stuff, like 100%.
Yes. All right.
That's awesome.
You nailed it twice. Good job, Fonzie. Okay. Awesome. I know every time we do these intros, it's like, and if people have seen the show, and that's why we ask you, Jorge, if you've seen the show before, because if people have seen it, the stakes are really high. And the worst part is like, if they've seen it, we've already written the intro. So there's no going back. So it's like, okay, let's just hope it goes well. So thank you for that feedback. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. And this is what it's all about. Yeah. Fonzie, you have anything?
Well, I think it's time to get this started, right? I mean,
Let's do it.
Kaci, we already know you, right? And we're going to get a little bit into your story. That interview was absolutely amazing. But now, Jorge, we want to know who's Jorge, right? How did you get to where you are right now?
Oh man, how long do we have?
Oh, we got plenty of time. Don't worry.
Plenty of time. Fonzie is already missing his soccer game, so we're good.
Oh, that's incentive to make him miss the entire game then.
Exactly.
exactly.
There we go. Oh man, where do I start? Let's see. So earlier about what was it? Maybe 8 months ago now. Kaci came to me asking to be a partner because I ended up helping Kaci in a retreat she put together. I was a featured speaker at it, and I declined at first. There was an aspect of Kaci that I wanted to see grow because it became very noticeable at the beginning that she wanted to hide behind me, and I wouldn't let her. And as you guys mentioned, I've been her coach, so that's how I initially met Kaci. So I knew this about her, and after the retreat, she dramatically shifted. She got into a space of empowerment, and so as things evolved for me, then I decided, you know what, maybe I need to revisit this. She's definitely somebody worth partnering up with, and it's been great. We've had our challenges like any other partnership is, but that's the beauty of partnerships is that ability to be honest and open with one another. Prior to that, I was working with Clickfunnels, coaching their 2 Comma Club X program. The second year, I was promoted to be the performance coach lead. So I coached the coaches, and I got to coach some of the members as well. But Kaci was part of year 1, and I got to coach it then. I actually was only going to be working with Clickfunnels for a year. That's the time frame I gave myself. Yeah. And when that year came up, I forgot to make a plan to actually exit out, and it worked out in my favor because it gave me a 2-week buffer to figure out what I was going to do. And as I was about to submit my 2 weeks, they announced the position of coach. A coaching position for a new coaching program, and so I jumped on it, and that's how I ended up continuing with the company for another year and a half. So I was with the company for about 2.5, almost 2.5, somewhere around there. But to even get to that point, it's been a little bit of a journey. So I started my coaching career, if you will, going on 13 years now.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Yeah.
13 years. So I was in such a hole 13 years ago that I felt like I was going crazy. And so I reached out to a friend of mine who introduced me to a particular set of trainings in personal development. And I declined it because when he initially introduced it to me, he invited me to an event, a guest event, where the guests could go, show up, learn a little bit more about it. And I was a little iffy about it because it felt a little like network marketing, and I had already had a bad experience with network marketing. But despite his warnings, he told me this is a very lively, loving bunch. You're going to see a lot of people hugging, a lot of people. And I was like, yeah, all right, whatever. And as soon as I got there, he was right. I was weirded out. I was just like, this is too loving, too huggy. This is like,
which is like Kaci's perfect scenario because, you're too loving, too huggy. I love it. Like, we love it.
They were totally laying the foundation for a future meeting with me.
That's right.
Yeah. So I completely rejected participating in it. And incidentally, 2 years after, when I finally decided to go, I reached out to him, and he reintroduced it to me. Yeah. And so I go through it and was completely blown away. I got hooked. He only went through one part of it. I went through all 3 phases, and that's about a 4.5-5 month journey of intense, in your face coaching. There's no sugar coating. There's no what's that word? Sitting on your laurels. You can't stay still. Stay still, because if you stay still, they'll chew your ass off. And but the beautiful thing about it is that it's not about what they want; it's about what I want. So I have to create my 90-day declarations of everything I'm going to accomplish, and they just hold me to it. And if there's a mental block, they addressed it, and they just practicing everything we learned plus more tools. And then, I decided after that I want to do that kind of work and become a trainer. And it's been, almost another 10 years now.
Wow.
And I've been slowly inching my way up.
I love it. So
Yeah.
so Kaci, this is like the moment of truth, just so you know. Was he a great coach?
Oh, this is my favorite story. My favorite story. And
Tell them day one.
day one. So you guys know I'm pretty easy to get along with. I don't like conflict. I don't like confrontation. And so I just remember thinking I got assigned Jorge, and I didn't want Jorge as my coach.
In all fairness, she didn't know who I was.
I didn't know who he was.
That was it.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was. But he was exactly what I needed. He helped me like break through, but like it was really messy and really ugly before it got better, and not on his part, but like just kind of like pulling through the layers, because I had a lot of my own stuff personally that I had never even dealt with before we could even get to business. And I think that's what I appreciate most about what Jorge brought to the table is he recognized it, he saw it, and he decided to lean in and dig instead of just show me your funnel. What is your goal? And next week, let me know what you did. Like he made me like pull back those layers and do the hard work. And now it's become a habit. But I remember getting off many, many phone calls, and my husband, he would be like, "Oh, call with Jorge today, right?" Because like I'm like, just cry. But it was definitely what I needed to break through certain mindsets and barriers that I had placed around myself. So yeah, he was what I needed before I even knew I needed it.
Yeah, that's incredible. I see like two pillars here, right? And for the audience, right? The reason we brought them together is because first they're business partners. They came out of our relationship strictly online, I guess, like coaching, here and there, and meeting this role. And now they run an amazing community that they've been adding a ton of value. We talked about relationship marketing, and they're creating real value and real progress and amplifying the success of a ton of people. And this is the real reason we brought them, because we wanted to kind of discover like this other side, right? Kaci was asking us question in her show about our dynamic, and we're like, oh my gosh, we have to go back and ask them about their dynamic, because we might be similar in some aspects, but I feel like you guys are completely opposite on the ways that you guys approach things. So I feel like this is fascinating, and I would love to obviously dive into that. So
yeah, no, I think we're definitely going that way.
Yes.
I approve.
It's like we're brothers.
But I mean, something that I took from what you just said is, first, it relates with something that I heard Steve Larson say, that he says, if I want a coach, I want him to not make me feel better, but like make me better, right? Mm-hmm. And I agree 100% with that. I mean, I feel, especially nowadays, like a lot of people just want that, like reassured that what I'm doing is fine, it's okay, right? And sometimes, like you said, it needs to get ugly and messy before it gets better. So I'm curious, right? For people, obviously, I think ugly and messy, it's a little subjective for people, but like, how did that look like, right? And what was your mind going through in that moment to guess, like, do that switch, that jump into like a more performance mode, if you can call it that way?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing was I didn't so much have a problem with strategy. And that going through what I went through, it shifted so much in my viewpoint and in my perspective, and even the way that we do business now is like, we could have the perfect plan, the perfect offer, the perfect strategy, but internally, if I lack clarity or confidence, it's not going to be implemented. It's not going to be executed. And so that is where Jorge went with the focus is, what are you committed to? Like, you say you want this, but does your actions reflect that? And if your actions don't reflect that, then how are you self-sabotaging? How are you, it's a level of awareness and just taking full on responsibility for things. Like, just his emotional intelligence level, like I've never met anybody else at the level that Jorge has, like emotional intelligence to read in between the lines. Like, it's not just what you say or how you say it. It's what you don't say. It's what you haven't revealed that shifts him into really asking those hard questions. So I know hard and messy like is a really big sort of like expansive cavern but it's we all have things that we've had in our past that have shaped our mindset, the way that we deal with fear, the way that we deal with stretching outside of our comfort zone, the way that we identify and define success. Like if we're only putting ourselves here, we're never going to go past that level. And I think just by him creating those levels of awareness, asking those questions, it helped me shift into thinking differently and to identifying and being aware when I was starting to go into a certain type of mode or reaction, and be able to shift quicker.
So here's an example, like to give it a little bit more meat on the bone. You guys pointed out how we're drastically different. Like Kaci to me is a walking Care Bear. Like that's, you know, it's a little emblem on her stomach and shoots rainbows, you know. And I'm very dry. So I grew up in the 80s when it was still not politically correct to say half the things that I say that come flying out my mouth. And I'm very direct. And so when transitioning from coach and coachee relationship, now we're business partners. There were certain expectations that I had of her, but I didn't vocalize them.
Yeah.
I just inherently thought she was going to step into it, given that it was now partners. And I was starting to get frustrated, and we locked horns, and she got frustrated, and then it got a little messy until it finally dawned on me is like, oh, she still thinks I'm her coach.
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay, let's clarify, because she's all like, am I saying it wrong? What am I doing with it? And it's like, no, you're not saying it. It's just, like, I'm very direct. Like, if you want something, just ask for it. Don't ask me if I think it's a good idea to. It's just that level of directness. I tend not to focus on the feelings of things, and Kaci does. So there's times where I need to approach it with more empathy or ease, but I know how Kaci operates, and so I tend to do that a little easier than not. But yeah, there were times where I show patience with people I coach with. In my personal life, I have like no patience whatsoever. I'm the guy with like road rage. But so different.
I think this is pretty interesting because, you know, you guys have this like amazing dynamic, right? That you guys have developed throughout the years. First with, you know, Kaci, you being coached with Jorge, and then now as business partners. And I think this is key, not on this scenario, but when we talk about your team members, like inside of your own team, and the way that you guys have been able to identify those inflection points in your communication has allowed you to progress big time. So when we talk a lot about with the clients that we have or people that we're coaching throughout their content, right? They sometimes have their own teams, and the communication is not the best all the time. So we cannot stress enough to put in place different procedures or like systems for them to identify these things. And I feel like you guys throughout that year on coaching, and then now as a partnership, now have developed those systems. So what are some things that maybe somebody that's either trying right now with their own team and is not succeeding, or they're like kind of crashing, right? Or even they're trying to develop that communication even with their audience, right? What are a couple of things that they can implement today, right, that can help them get to the point that you guys are working very synergistic, if you want to put it that way?
The first thing that pops into my head as you were asking the question is taking inventory on who's on the team, because there's certain talents and skill sets that people are just amazing at. So, for example, Kaci's phenomenal at creating relationships and making friends. You know, when I go out and about, I'm like the fly in the wall. I'm an observer. I keep my mouth shut and pay very, very, very close attention because I read people. I don't really need to say a lot in order to understand people. So a lot of the attention and traffic has been because of her. She likes to share the stage. So she's like, no, but you're amazing too. I was like, yeah, but they're here because of you. And she's like, no, but you're awesome too. I was like, Cassie, come on. Like,
we can like put a point that like, you guys are both awesome. That's it. That's it. You guys can stop that battle because you guys are both awesome. Sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
No. And it's true, but where I shine is on a different area.
Yeah.
And so knowing who your players are, knowing their strengths, knowing how they communicate and how to communicate with them, because it's far easier. And then I see a lot of people get very, very, very frustrated. And they always point the finger like, why don't you get it? Why don't you understand it? And a simple analogy is if the person speaks Chinese and you're speaking to them in English, they're never going to get it.
Yeah.
And you could wait until they learn English, or you could start learning Chinese, one or the other. So the fastest way would be to start learning Chinese. It's like, okay, let me get to them. Yeah. Let me meet them where they're at. And then the second thing would be to journal or take notes on how you do things so that you could later reflect on it and see how you could systemize it.
I love it. I love the systemizing part. I mean, sometimes we compare, actually, when we send some videos to some of our prospects, we actually use an analogy like humans are like businesses, right? Or vice versa. Mm-hmm. We got life spam, we have a life flow, blood flow, cash flow, and we got habits, right? As humans that allow us to be better. Mm-hmm. In businesses, those habits are just systems and processes, right? So I love it how you even put down systems for something that most people probably don't think about having systems for, like the relationship, the communication with your partner, right? Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest. We don't have a system for communicating between each other.
We just read our minds.
I just slap him on the back.
I'd really like to know how you guys have managed that, because Jorge is still telling me he can't read my mind. So I don't know what our deal is.
Well, I think our secret is that we have lived together for like 27 years. 27
years of experience. Yeah.
But I'm a fan of the systems, and I think we do need systems in place. Actually, a conversation that we had a while ago was like, you know what? Like, the two of us are doing the exact same task. So instead of being a partnership and taking advantage of having two of us, to take advantage of different, fields inside the business and improve quicker, we're the both of us doing the same thing. And that's something that we realized, and we're like, well, yeah. And it's because we don't have like individual tasks for each other, right? So after that moment, it did started evolving.
Yeah.
But now that you say, I don't think we have a system for communicating between each other.
Yeah, we don't have a system. I feel like inside of us, we kind of know like, hey, when he's in like his Tyler mode, because that's where it really focuses on, like we call him Tyler.
Yeah, but I put my hat facing forward, my glasses and my headphones.
So I understand that then that might not be the best moment for me to either share an idea or try to break the flow, because then I'm not going to have his full attention. So I feel like we have identified some of those moments, and just being open about it, because sometimes, let's say that same scenario, like as a team, we get interrupted when we're in flow. So if that happens to me, my first reaction is going to be a negative one, be like, hey, why are you stopping me from my flow? Because for me personally, it's really challenging to get into flow. So it took me a second to recognize that. I'm like, hey, I'm feeling this way. Can I communicate that with him? So now he knows, right? Now he knows. So I think like over time, we've developed that system as far as like, hey, when this is it, but it's not recorded, right? And I think it's an ego thing as well. It's like, okay, am I recognizing that maybe this is not the best way that I can communicate with my team members? And going off of what Jorge said, hey, meet him at their spot, right? So it's a mix of those things, and I feel like in our team that has helped a ton. Even now that we have remote team working all over the place, it's the same thing. It's like, how can we establish those systems of communication to make the most out of it?
Yeah, I think what Jorge said there is important, like meet them where they are. And like you said, the ego, I feel like some of us are just waiting for the other person to take the initiative because, it's us. Of course, they need to make the effort, right? And it's not that way. We need to take the initiative and we need to go and take the effort ourselves. So yeah, I totally agree with the ego.
Well, what you point out a couple of things, and one of the things that comes to mind is knowing roles and responsibilities. Because if you don't know that, then it could easily go into an assumption of, well, I thought you were going to do it. You did it last time. You should be doing it again. If you have clear defined roles, it makes the communication a little easier. Now, as far as people coming to you, that depends, really. If you're having them come to you because you're too proud to go to them, then your ego's in the way.
Yep.
But if you're having them come to you because you are intentionally trying to train them to be self-thinkers and motivated, then it has nothing to do with you. You're in service to them. And then at that point, they come to you because it's not about them praising you and bowing down to you. No, it's I'm trying to train a manager or something in order for them to, like, when I step away, I know it's safe. They're in charge. They got this handled. I don't have to worry.
I love it. Go ahead, Kaci. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think we've created our own internal systems too. Like, I am an ideas person. And so like we meet every single day, and he had to tell me really, really early on. He's like, wait. I need to transition to follow your train of thought. So like there's even that small little conversation has helped us run our meetings more efficiently, because I can end one thought and say, okay, on the next thing, or on another note, like, and give him those cues, because if he's not following and I'm moving on to another client, he's like, what? Like, and then it gets him.
He makes fun of me because in an over exaggerated way, it'd be like, so George, this is this about this project right here, and this is going on with Sally, and and I'm like, wait, what? Time out. What happened to the first one? Like,
I'm still on number one.
I'm still on number one. And when did Sally come into this? It's like, oh, Sally is a completely different thing. I was like,
I love
how didn't you tell me anything? Like, what is going on? I was going, like, so many things were happening in my head. I'm still trying to focus on one conversation didn't end. That was one of our mini locks. And then so the next day she's like, okay, I am changing topics.
I know, but I love this dynamic because it's so useful, especially like, let's say we bring this like to content creation, right? Like, you're going to have a team that you're going to have communicating ideas with, and the copy and the video flow and whatever, like, how technical you can be. But same time, that's very important to make sure that then your message is being heard, is being maximized to its core. How can you bring these communication frameworks, from a team that you're executing? They don't have to change, because a lot of people is like, oh my gosh, I have to change the way that I communicate with every single one in my company. No, you don't. It's just adapt them, right? Or pivot a little bit to the outcome that you really want to make. So I think that's very, very interesting. I want to transition a little bit to relationship marketing, because the first time I heard it, like, I think repeatedly, was with you guys inside of your community, inside your things, right? I personally come from the fitness industry, where sales is like, hey, you need it, I gotta convince you to buy it, right? It's pretty cutthroat, and it's kind of like right after car salesman that the fitness industry comes. So for me, it was very like, it has been a transformational journey going from there to now we're executing what I believe on relationship marketing. But the first time I saw that term being consistently talked about was inside of your community in Amplify. So I would like to hear, like, what is your definition of like relationship marketing, and how are you guys adding so much value and creating all this thing around it?
Yeah. So for me, like it at its heart and soul, it is, we do business with people. We are businesses made up of people who create products and service for people. And we have to keep people at the heart and the soul. And too many times in that cutthroat sales industry is you're not necessarily treating the person. You are trying to reach your goal. Like you may not care if they succeed at their goal with whatever you're trying to sell them. They're just a dot on a spreadsheet that you want to make a certain revenue by the end of the month. And relationship marketing takes into account truly serving the result that they need, only the result that they need, not for a benefit for you, because that benefit will naturally come. So it's the impact and the income will rise together as you focus on the results. And not only that, but you will increase the lifetime value of a customer by treating them like a person, making sure that they get the result that you promised them, because then you've created an advocate and an evangelist for your brand that's going to share the message that will never cost you another dollar of investing to acquire that customer again, because they're going to sing the anthem for other people, which is social proof, third-party validation. And we all know that in marketing, it takes 7+ touches for someone to even make a decision to purchase or buy your product. But if it comes through a referral or a direct recommendation, you could close in one conversation without even offering something. Like most of people that come to us, they're saying, how can we work? They're asking us, how can we work with you? What is it that we need to have to work with you? Like I had a sales call the other day, and they followed up and they're like, I'm a little confused because you didn't pitch us anything on. They came in expecting the call to be a pitch, and I said, well, I don't know if we're a good fit. I really just want, that call was honestly to wrap my head around your situation to see if we could help you. And if I can help you with just a few words, I'm not going to send you an invoice for it. So, and that is relationship marketing. Did I learn from that feedback? Yes, I learned to lead conversations with people who aren't familiar with that. Because that whole phone call, they're expecting a pitch. They're expecting me to try to take something and make them an offer, whereas, we serve first. So that is my definition of relationship marketing. It's different for everybody. It's definitely not like textbook definition, but I really think that it's one of the most powerful ways to do business. And it's definitely part of the long game. You're not gonna get rich in the first 7 hours that you speak to a stranger around the corner. But it's also knowing that whoever you speak to, whichever way you serve them, if they don't buy your products or service, just that interaction is going to be memorable for them to make sure that if they come across someone that needs your product or service, they're going to tell them, they're going to share it just because you treated them like a person.
So I have something to follow up. I'm sorry, Fonzie, if you had a thought in there, but we operated from a place of need for a long time. Mm-hmm. And it was really hard to have those conversations because we were chasing that sale because we're coming from a place of need. Once we transition into a place that we didn't need the sale anymore, it becomes a lot easier. So a lot of our audience and a lot of people out there probably at some point have been or are currently operating from a place of need. So the relationship marketing, they might not see it as their immediate thing to do, which I truly 100% believe is the right thing to do. So how somebody that is in that place of need can implement relationship marketing successfully?
That's a little bit of a challenge because people are in a pinch. They're between a rock and a hard place. Mm-hmm. The only thing I can offer in somebody in that place is to stop and reevaluate what they're doing, because for everything that you say yes to, you're saying no to something else, and for everything that you're saying no to, you're saying yes to something else. So if you're saying no to money now, what are you saying yes to? If you're saying no to chasing the money, are you saying yes to greater stability?
Yeah.
If you're saying no to giving into your immediate emotions about money, are you creating that resiliency, and are you operating out of vision? And so I would suggest to anyone to get reacquainted with what their purpose in life is, what their mission is, because the decisions then become very easy.
Yeah.
Do I go down this path and just make a quick buck, or am I still building this brand and legacy and vision that I'm looking to accomplish and achieve?
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, obviously, I think I agree with everything you said, but I'm putting myself back in that situation where we were, and I'm like, it was tough because yes, we were in a place of need, but at the same time, like, we love making friends, like we love building those relationships.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, okay, I'm building this, but I want it at speed, right? And then it comes part of, it's a long game. It's not a immediate gratification thing, or like, I'm going to pitch them here. Like at some point I was like embarrassed to try to pitch them so quickly, because I was like, I like them. Like, I want to be my friend, like I want that relationship. So, I mean, I agree with you, like that opportunity cost that you're talking about, right? Okay, I'm saying no right now. That means I'm saying yes to something else, or I'm saying yes to this, I'm saying no to something else. And I think personally, on my journey as an entrepreneur, I think I realized that later on, right? Like, if I look at myself 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I don't know if I would be able to actually stop and reflect, right? I think that takes a lot from someone to say, okay, I actually gonna stop what I'm doing right now and look at my vision, right? What I'm looking for. I'm in it as a means to an end, or I want this for longevity, right? And I look at myself again 3-4 years ago, and I don't know if the Luis from that back there will be able to do that, right? Because in my mind, it was just like, how can I get this quick? How can I make this quick? And actually, a question that I've been asking myself lately is, what does it take for someone to want to change? For example, like now I know one of humans' best capacity, if you can call it that way, is the ability for changing, right? We can change your life whenever we want, right? And our mindset. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it doesn't happen until we are someone conscious about that, about the fact that we can change, mm-hmm. right? So how do we get people there, right? So then can be, okay, relationship marketing is what I need to do. I need to reflect. I need to do all this, right? But how do we get them conscious about it, right? How do the people experience that?
Yeah. So I think the best place to start is with your intention, like you said, like with relationships, start being aware and start evaluating. Am I talking to this person? Am I interacting with this person only to make a sale? Are they only representing a dollar figure to me? Because that level of awareness will put you in check really, really quickly. And going back to what Jorge was sharing about that first coaching program, he automatically resisted because he thought it was network marketing. I come from small business, Chamber of Commerce, BNI, in-person meetings, networking. Like, that is a really, really kind of like gross environment for some people. It's like they literally walk in the room and like they're just throwing their cards at you. They could care less about who you are as a person, who you are as a business owner. Do you have kids? What are you struggling with? How are you trying to do? But if you go in there, like I went in there and I asked them how they were, tell me about your business. How can I help you grow your business? Guess who they're calling? Guess who doesn't have to hit them overside the head with their business cards? I don't even carry business cards.
Yep.
And they remembered who I was and they knew how to get in touch with me. That's exactly how I grew. My first business, which was wedding photography, is 100% word of mouth. And I was just shocked at how many people, like when you start intentionally having conversations and paying attention to your intention behind the conversations and shift it with an intention to serve, sales will come. People will ask you how they can do business with you. And that's going to keep you honest and keep you in check. And it was incredible how many conversations I had about how refreshing it was to have someone that truly cared about them, not only as a woman or as a business owner, or as a parent, because we're complex creatures. Like we don't want to just be sold to. Like, how do you feel when you know for a fact they're only talking to you because you may buy something from them, and if you didn't, that they would like mark you out like you're dead to me type of. Do you want to do business with people? No, heck no.
I'm gonna piggyback off of what Kaci was sharing, because at first glance, when you hear relationship marketing, it can be daunting in that, oh my God, I have to spend time with them, and give them flowers and walk them across the lake and all this other stuff. It just sounds like a whole hell of a lot of work.
Yeah,
I want to preface that just because it's called relationship marketing does not mean it needs to take a very long time. There's people that I've connected with that instantly were friends.
Yeah.
And I would trust them with. And so it's showing up that way. And that takes a certain set of skills, but one that requires you to actually give a shit. All right. I would love it if we could just rename it from relationship marketing to give a shit marketing.
It's true. It's true.
Just give a shit. Like, you can't fake that. You can't fake it. And when you show up that way, there's times where I've given people money or my business. I don't know them. I don't know that they'll succeed. They may not even know all the answers yet, but they're just in who they are, their conviction, their focus, their determination. It tells me a lot. Like, I don't know. I believe you though, that you're going to work your ass off to make sure that I'm taken care of.
Yeah. I absolutely 1,000% love like where this conversation is going, because we've seen it like we've seen it, especially since we launched the show, because the show has been opportunity creation for these relationships to happen. And like the call that we were on before jumping on with you guys was with somebody that literally, as soon as we jumped on the call, he's like, Luis, it is a pleasure to actually talk to you. I feel like I know you more than you know you, because I've been following you and your content since January, like 6 months ago. And every story I was telling him, he's like, yeah, that's right. And then you did this and this and this, right? And he's like, oh my gosh, yes. And we connected at a very different level. So I think for me too, it's on that relationship building. It's like, okay, if that's the priority, if we're creating these relationships, how can I shortcut the time where I can create these relationships? So in the brick and mortar world, right, where you came, small business world, Kaci, you go to BNI events or like physical like events, right? And you're kind of like imprisoned in the time like that these events are happening, right? So sometimes you have an hour, 2 hours, and then you're like, oh my God, it's not enough to build this relationship. So I feel like the hack, and I feel like you guys are executing brilliantly on this with your Facebook group and the content that you guys create, is how can I create as many quality points of contact, not just with my dream client, but with my dream audience, to create enough relationships that then I don't have to feel bad because I'm not making offers, but they're going to be coming to me because of that relationship that I'm building, and I'm shortcutting the points of contact time in between. So I feel like that's the game, and I feel like that's where you guys are absolutely killing it with your group and your community.
It is the game, but what the mistake most people make is that they go to tell me what to do. Just tell me the secret. What should I do? And no matter how many times I tell people what to do, they will go out there and fuck it all up. Not because they didn't do it right, but because of who they were being when they went to go do it. So if the game was, hey, how can I ask these girls out? I want more dates. Okay, great. Here's what you say. Go say this to them, and they will give you their name and number and date. Well, if they showed up, shy, reserved, like a little weakling, like, unless the girl likes pathetic, she's not going to give them the number. She's just not.
Yeah.
She's not responding to that confidence, that power, that reassurance. It just won't work. And that's where the caring comes in. And that's where the skill set comes in. You need to be intimate and vulnerable enough and develop that aspect in order for you to make the timeline shorter and being able to connect. Is again, there's very, very, very charismatic things to do, but if you're just doing it for the sake of the sale, it'll eventually come out. You might get the sale, but you're gonna out yourself sooner or later. Somebody's gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
And I mean, and the people that you might be bringing in, they're not gonna be your ideal clients. You might have the sale, but you still don't have that relationship, right? So then, I mean, they might not stay for too long with you. And when they leave, they might not have good things to say, right? So again, I think relationship marketing, it is the way to go. And I love something that you said, that people focus on the how-tos, right? And it reminds me another phrase of Steve Larsen, that is, your business only grows to the extent that you do, right? Correct. And that's what I see right there. Because again, relating it to when we started, we were like, we need to buy these courses that is going to teach, they're going to teach us how to do X, Y, and Z. And we would go and maybe do X, Y, and Z, but we personally weren't there to do certain things, right? I remember the first sale that I did, I was so scared. I was that guy shaking, right? I was like, yeah, like it's $500 a month. And
he was wearing a full suit, by the way.
I dressed up. Yeah, I dressed up. I mean, totally not me.
Yeah.
And I went to this, it was like a Mexican restaurant. And we started talking. The guy didn't want what I was selling, but I was like convincing him.
Determined.
And yeah, dude, I even remember when he said yes. I went to my car. I was so excited. I went home. He said yes. Let's go. Tomorrow we're gonna go and sign the contract. So that we didn't have the business registered at that moment. So that night we registered the business. We went back to the business the next day, and the guy's like, "Hey, so I noticed you just registered your business last night." And we're like, "Nah." And I was like, "Yeah, we were testing, to see if people wanted what we're offering and whatnot." I mean, I'm extremely grateful that the guy still gave us the opportunity and we managed to work with him. But again, it was not the best relationship out there. And we were just focused on the how-tos, right? We weren't actually focusing on what matters, which is that relationship. And of course, the results, right? But again, we weren't even clear on what results we wanted to give him. It was a whole mess. But I agree, right? Like, I mean, who knows? Maybe if we had that relationship, that guy will still be one of our clients. Who knows, right? But I think it's super important, and I want to drive that point home for people watching, because it's not about buying those courses and learning just the how-tos. Of course, you need to raise your skill set. That's part of being a business owner. But I think the change in yourself is even more valuable than the how-tos.
Yeah, for sure. If I could sum it up, if anything, I hope that your audience takes away is, if you really want to transform it all, you got to be a person that values people. Bottom line. And if you model your business off of that, then your business will communicate it as well. The customer experience will communicate it. The team and how it interacts and communicates will embody that. And it's constantly showing up that way.
Yeah.
No.
I love it, guys. This has been, we have to start slowly bringing it home, but I think we're lucky today because we normally ask our guests for action points. And since there's two of you, we're going to have 2 action points today. Woo-hoo! So I think it's wonderful. So who wants to get started? And this is, again, what are some things that the audience can implement today? Like very quick wins for people to start getting that momentum going. It could be relationship marketing. It could be team growth. It could be communication. What is something that you feel like is so important that they have to execute today?
You want me
Oh,
to
I
go?
got a couple. Go ahead, Cassie.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I think for us, the thing that you can, that was really, really important and that anyone listening can execute today is understanding their communication style and the way that others communicate. I was really, really lucky in that Jorge has such a strong background in disc profiling. So he can really like spot like my communication patterns and bring them to my attention. And it's shifted in the way that we communicate with each other, because he's like, hey, I need you to communicate with me like this. You tend to do this. And it wasn't, and we have that sort of relationship where I know his personality enough that he's being direct because he cares about the progress that we're making, not trying to crush my Care Bear spirit. Right. So we've learned that about each other. And I think if you're a solopreneur or you're working with a team or you're working with outsource, like you just can't have that mentality where it's like, this is who I am and this is how I communicate, deal with it. You're not going to get very far. You're not going to get people who want to, align with your vision and stick around for the long run. Relationship marketing works with team members as much as it does with customers. And at your heart and soul, if you take that into account, like you genuinely care about people and moving them forward. Same with your teammates, like care about them and moving them forward. We've both been environments where we've been forced as entrepreneurs to fit the mold of an employee, and that feels gross and yucky and like goes against everything in our fiber and our being. And like you talk about breaking someone's spirit, like you and that comes through empathy. So I would say like the second part is, if you've never heard the word empathy, Google it. Do some research and find out how you can start working empathy and gratitude into your daily routine. It will change the way that you talk to people. It will change the way you treat people at the grocery store, at the checkout line, at the drive-through order. Like permanent shift in the way that you treat and communicate with people, and you will just find yourself like in a completely different environment and business and in your life.
Yeah, I love it. Don't worry, guys. My brother's just plugging the computer.
He went to look up empathy.
That's right. He just went to look empathy on Google. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, Jorge, your turn.
Okay, so there's a bunch of different little exercises. I'm trying to see which one would be great and juicy for your audience.
And if you have the other ones, you can always send them to me and we can put them on the episode notes so people can actually go ahead and check them out.
Okay, so the first one that came to mind is this one. A lot of people don't know what their superpower is or why they earn somebody's business. Go out and ask your friends, ask your spouse, ask your family members, and get feedback and ask them, if I had a superpower, what would it be? And they're going to give you what they see as your superpower. Fair warning, you're probably going to reject what they have to say. Because chances are they're going to point out something that you think is, everybody has. And yeah, it's common, right? Everybody has it.
Yep.
Chances are it's not. Plus, naturally, most people have a hard time receiving compliments.
Yeah.
And so this is to show you where your strong suits are. And if you want extra credit, ask them where you're falling short. That one's going to sting because you're going to want to do that one too and give it, fuck you, right back in.
A backhand slap.
Yeah. I love this because, when we talk about content, like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to publish out there. Dude, ask your audience. So this is literally turning that I'm putting it on you. Be like, okay, I don't know who I really am. I'm like, how can I help people? Right? Sometimes we don't see it. And the fact that you're like shining that light and asking people like, what am I good at? Like, what do you think I'm good at? Like, what do you see from the outside? And I think it takes a big effort for a lot of people because I feel it because I did it. Like, I did it like 3 years ago. I literally went ask my wife which, yeah, that was an amazing moment in our relationship. But, going off what you said, and I was completely like thankful for what she had to say, because, we went to the second level. It's like, okay, what do you think I need to improve on? And she's like 100% honest. And from that feedback, then you can get better. But it's like leaving that ego aside and be willing to move. So, Jorge,
Katie, your wife was like, here he goes. It's like a pool.
I was waiting for this. Let's do this. But I appreciate you saying this, because I feel like a lot of people could go out. It's very simple to go do it. Yeah. And you're going to get a lot of value out of it. So
the actual steps sound simple. It's whether you're going to be able to surrender your ego to actually go hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, sorry, Jorge, you were saying?
And actually listen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Listen to the affirmations, the positive stuff, but then also listen.
Yeah.
To the not so pretty side of things. And it may be something that's, they may come back and say, they may acknowledge you and give you feedback on the very same thing. So for example, I'll use myself as an example. I oftentimes get the feedback that, oh, you're very direct and strong, and you're like a rock for me. And then what do they turn around and say? What can you work? You're an asshole. You're cold. It's like, it's the same. It might be the same thing, and it might leave you a little confused. Just know that, when you lead with your heart, you're going to be the rock and all the positive stuff. When your ego shows up, you're probably going to have that other thing, and then they're going to acknowledge around the same area. Sometimes they're drastically different. So
I love it.
Yeah,
guys, both. Well, the whole episode has been pure gold, and we really appreciate you guys being here. We have one last question before we say bye-bye to the podcast people.
Well, two questions.
Well, and I have one more point to add too. So, like, let's
do it. Let's go. We're gonna have a third, like the longest episode in our show. So I love it. I mean, it's full of value. Who cares? Like, if by the way, if you're listening, thank you for listening, because you are, awesome. Okay, continue, Kaci. Thank you.
Oh, so I just wanted to add one more thing, because I think if you look at yourself internally as how you're going to operate, we talked about intention, but a lot of us are familiar with the golden rule, and I would challenge you to shift into the platinum rule. And if you don't know what the platinum rule is, it's essentially it goes a step further beyond what the golden rule encompasses. So the golden rule is treating others how you wanted to be treated, and the platinum rule treats others the way they want to be treated. And you find out the way that others want to be treated by listening. It's Jorge has shared over and over and over again where you have to set your ego aside. So it's not always us talking and us sharing and us teaching. It's just as important to listen and observe, and maybe even dig in a little bit internally for us to get to know ourselves a little bit better. Who do you look up to? Who do you follow? Who are your mentors? What do you admire about them? Why do you admire that about them? That's really, like, it's easy for us to go internal and to dig like that. It takes more effort to look into to see what other people put value in. And that's just as important in our businesses. So I when we were wrapping this up, and like the platinum rule is just what kept popping into my head. And that's just one of those things. It's a foundational core principle of how we build Amplify, and it's how I operate, like, as an individual. I always want to treat people how they want to be treated, and then to do that, my mind has to be open enough, and I can't only operate out of my little container. I have to continually educate and push myself and to understand other people, other cultures, other religions, men as well as women. Like, I can't come from a standpoint, well, I wouldn't want them to say that. What do they want? How do they want to be served? How do they want to be spoken to? And that's really, really important.
I love it. I mean, at the core of this is we're talking, just human relationships, and, at the end of the day, it's like you said, the platinum rule was amazing. It was like on the dot. And we encourage everybody to look back to their own businesses, to their own messages that they're putting out there with their content, and seeing if they're actually following these rules of basic human relationships to make sure that they're serving to the best of their ability.
Yeah, I mean, I I'm a big advocate for the golden rule, and I've never heard the platinum rule. And now I'm a bigger fan of the platinum rule. It just like subbed the golden rule. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, awesome. All right, 2 questions. Fonzie was right. So
2 questions.
the first one. So this is obviously what we talked about in the show every single week. You know, we want to help obviously our audience with their message, how they put it out there. And we want this to be a platform for them to be like, okay, this is the day I take action and I want to follow the footstep of all these wonderful guests that we're having. And hopefully us too. But, you know, first the guest. But where
I think they need to follow their own footsteps.
Their own footsteps. Yeah. This will like give them the initial push. So where like will you guys be now? Like if you did not publish?
Jorge, do you want to go first or would you like for me?
Where would we be if we did not publish?
Yes.
I'd probably be at the unemployment line right now. To be quite honest. You know,
Wow.
Kaci publishes far better than I do, far more frequently than I do. Like I said, I'm a fly on the wall, and I've leaned on her for that, and so it's interesting because Kaci always says, if people only knew how much you cared, and to a certain degree, she's absolutely right. But a lot of people don't get that one-on-one interaction with me like she has. She had been a coachee, somebody I coached, so she got to see a lot behind the scenes that most people don't. So producing content is enormous. I mean, I'm starting to get into the game, starting to do the Instagram. Everybody's watching me lose weight, and
Yes.
I've seen the recipes.
and the recipes. So it's growing on me. It's growing.
Love it.
I love that. I can't imagine where I would be without publishing. Publishing for me was a huge obstacle to overcome. Just through my own insecurities, through proving to myself that I was worth it. I had value to give. I had things to share. I had something to say. But I think the thing that I love most about publishing and is how it honestly syncs up 100% with relationship marketing, because relationship marketing isn't that fake it till you make it, that everything has to be perfect, that I'm not going to show up unless I can, have full hair and makeup 100%. I don't hesitate. I don't try to find my words. I don't say ums. And that is the beauty that aligns with sharing who you are at your core as a genuine human, being authentic, and publishing the journey, because the journey is rough. Like it is. Right. I was downloading some of my first videos a few weeks ago, and holy smokes, like I can still tell you to this day how I felt when I pushed that record button. And if I hadn't have pushed it, I wouldn't have continued to develop it. I wouldn't be able to share with our clients or people that we've coached that struggle and the way that I felt, because and even my failures, like things that I were embarrassed about, like I didn't even know would have value until I'm on the other line of a Zoom eye to eye with someone who's going through that same struggle. And they're saying, I can't do it. I can't do what you do. I can't da. And by me being able to share, how many of my first courses that I sold, like I gave away more than I sold, right? I taught my heart out to a group of 3 people, but I proved to myself that I could do it. And to see their countenance change. And it was like, now it all makes sense. I can share that story confidently because I know it's going to bring value to somebody else. I know why I struggled, and now it makes sense to me. It's no fun going through the storm and going through the chaos and the pain and like all of that growth. Because sometimes you do just want to shut up and turn off the camera and be like, Lord, I hope nobody saw that. But honestly, like you can leverage and wield it as a strength. So publishing like will forever have a special place in my heart, because we wouldn't be here talking to you guys had it not been for publishing. And honestly, like Jorge played such a huge part. And he shared the story, like he's been called a rock and he's been called an asshole. And guess who called him both of those names? Like,
I remember the day that it came to. Cassie called me up or something. Yeah, she called me up and we got on Zoom. And she's like, "Oh, I know I need to publish." I was like, "All right, well, get to it." Like, but no, but this, I feel this. I was like, I don't care. Go do it. Call me when you're done. And she's like, "No, but you don't understand. I was like, okay, and go do it. Call me when you're done." And I just would not let up until she actually went to go do it. And when she did it, she was still whiny, but she felt better. And then she just did it over and over. And now she's a content machine.
Love it. Yeah, it's
awesome.
It's amazing how many people you guys have been able to impact through, what you guys are creating. And thank you for sharing those stories and the way that you guys work together and your dynamic and your thoughts. It has been truly an honor having you guys in here. Where can people find you if they want to be part of that movement, if they want to connect with you guys, if they want to learn more?
Oh, wow. You're going to love this. So we're on Instagram now. So go to Instagram, amplify my impact. Don't judge us by just a few posts right now. Like, we've got the content team. We met with you guys. We have a plan. We're moving forward. So just, buckle up and enjoy the ride. We're going to be on YouTube. We've got that set up too. Where else? Amplify my impact in the Facebook community. And we made it really, really easy. Our website is amplifymyimpact.com. So you are safe typing Amplify My Impact into any social platform. Maybe not Twitter, but that's where we're at. We spend a lot of time on Facebook and in our group on the Friday calls.
Yeah.
And
those are wonderful, guys. Like, please go ahead and check them out because I've been in a ton of those and 100% recommend that.
Thank you.
Awesome. That's it?
Yeah. I again, thank you so much. I am extremely happy. I love the conversation. We're gonna have to do round 2. Just saying.
Our team is gonna have a blast dissecting this episode.
Yeah.
We're like, we want to take over. Okay, awesome, guys. Well, with that being said, thank you so much for being here on the show. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It is valuable to you. And also follow us on social media at @BeesFresco. We'd love to have a conversation. And
that's right, guys. And if you found this episode impactful, which I am sure you did, don't forget to share it and give us a 5-star review. And we ran past the outro.
Yes,
so that's awesome.
But that's okay.
And sorry.
We'll do it again.
Yay! If you're not watching the video, go watch the video because Cassie had an awesome pirate Mickey hat that is totally worth watching.
Yes.
Now, I think this is officially the goodbye. See ya.
Bye, guys.
Bye.